Imagine a world connected by vast trade networks, where mighty empires like the Egyptians, the Hittites, and the Mycenaeans flourished. This was the late Bronze Age, a cosmopolitan era of palaces, chariots, and grand monuments. For nearly 2,000 years, these civilizations built upon each other's knowledge, trading everything from copper and tin to olive oil and luxury goods. They were the superpowers of their day, seemingly invincible. And then, in the span of just a few decades around 1200 BC, it all came crashing down. What happened? How could these powerful, interconnected societies collapse so suddenly and so completely? For a long time, historians pointed to a single culprit: mysterious invaders known as the Sea Peoples. Egyptian inscriptions depict them as a coalition of seafaring raiders who swept across the Mediterranean, leaving a trail of destruction. Cities were burned, empires fell, and a dark age descended upon the region. The story was simple, dramatic, and for a while it seemed to explain everything. But the truth, as we're now discovering, is far more complex and, frankly, much more interesting. The Sea Peoples were real, and they certainly caused a lot of trouble. But were they the cause of the collapse, or just a symptom of a much larger crisis? Think of it this way: a healthy body can fight off an infection. A body already weakened by multiple illnesses is far more vulnerable. It seems the civilizations of the Bronze Age were already sick, teetering on the brink long before the first raiders appeared on the horizon. Let's start with the climate. Using data from ancient pollen, lake sediments, and even tree rings, scientists have pieced together a startling picture. Around 1200 BC, the eastern Mediterranean was hit by a prolonged and severe megadrought. This wasn't just a dry summer or two. We're talking about decades of failed rains. Less rain meant lower crop yields. Lower yields meant widespread famine. Suddenly, the vast populations of these great cities couldn't be fed. The intricate systems of agriculture and distribution that had sustained them for centuries began to break down. Famine creates desperation. People were starving, and starving people don't just sit and wait. They move. We see archaeological evidence of mass migrations, entire populations abandoning their homes in search of food and water. This internal displacement would have put immense pressure on neighboring regions, creating social unrest and conflict. It's in this chaotic environment that the Sea Peoples likely emerged. They probably weren't a single invading army, but a mix of displaced farmers, desperate migrants, and opportunistic pirates, all driven from their own drought-stricken lands. They were refugees and raiders all rolled into one. But the drought wasn't the only problem. The Bronze Age world was incredibly interconnected, much like our own globalized world today. This was its greatest strength and ultimately its greatest weakness. The entire economy depended on a few key resources, most notably copper from Cyprus and tin from as far away as Afghanistan. These two metals were essential to make bronze, the material that gave the age its name. Bronze was used for everything: tools, armor, and most importantly, weapons. So what happens when those supply chains are disrupted? The drought and resulting social chaos would have made long-distance trade routes treacherous. As trade broke down, the supply of tin and copper dried up. Without bronze, economies ground to a halt. Armies couldn't be equipped. Tools couldn't be made. The very foundation of their technology crumbled. This is what systems theorists call a systems collapse. It wasn't one failure, but a cascade of failures, each one amplifying the others. Climate change led to famine, which led to mass migration and social unrest, which in turn disrupted trade networks, causing economic collapse and further weakening the states. On top of all this, we have evidence of another devastating factor: earthquakes. The Aegean and Eastern Mediterranean is a seismically active region. Archaeologists have discovered numerous major cities from Troy to Mycenae to Ugarit that show clear signs of destruction by massive earthquakes right around this period. Imagine a city already weakened by famine and economic turmoil. Its walls are poorly maintained, its people are scattered, then a powerful earthquake strikes, leveling what's left. It would be the final knockout blow. We see evidence of earthquake storms, a series of major quakes over a few decades, that would have crippled the infrastructure of multiple kingdoms simultaneously. So we have a perfect storm of calamities: a mega drought, famine, mass migrations, systems collapse, and catastrophic earthquakes. The Sea Peoples weren't the cause of the collapse. They were the final wave that crashed upon a world already drowning. They were scavenging among the ruins of a civilization that had already fallen. When the dust settled, the world was a different place. The great palaces were abandoned, the international trade routes were gone, and even the art of writing was lost in many areas. Literacy vanished for centuries. The population of the region may have dropped by as much as 90%. It was a true dark age. The Bronze Age collapse serves as a powerful cautionary tale. It shows how even the most advanced and complex societies are vulnerable, how interconnectedness can be a double-edged sword, and how environmental change can trigger a domino effect with devastating consequences. The story isn't just about a distant past. It's a reminder of the delicate balance that sustains our own civilization. We live in an interconnected world, heavily reliant on complex supply chains and a stable climate. The collapse of the Bronze Age teaches us that when multiple crises hit at once, things can unravel with terrifying speed. It's a lesson from history that we would be wise to remember. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into the past as fascinating as I did, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries. See you next time.